welcome to the WTF Sunderland podcast as we record sort of during the match today. One of those live ones that we haven't done since Wembley. I'm in the car right now. We've just seen a black cat, and we've seen this black cat in the estate 2 times before. West Ham and Brentford when we've come to the game, so that's interesting. If you're listening to this now and we've got beat, you're kind of going, well, it's not that interesting, Graham. But if you're listening to it and it's been a positive result, then we need to find a black cat the morning of every Sunderland game. Anyway, enough rambling. So yeah, we're going to record live today. I'm going to meet up with Ian, Ross. Hopefully we'll get Sophie on, but Sophie sits in posh seats, so we might not be able to get to her with her prawn sandwiches. And Pete's in Berlin, so he's not involved in this whatsoever, which some of you will be very sad about. But that's me in the car. It's 9:05 on the way from Glasgow. It'll be about 3-4 hour journey, Ash?
Yeah,
something like that. 3-4 hours. But we're used to it. We've got the playlist ready and we're up for it. Loving match day, brilliant. This might change in the next half an hour if you're listening to this, but as it stands, I'm in a really good mood and I'm slightly hungover. Right, I've met Ian in the Hilton, very posh, with a ready-made Guinness, but no blackcurrant in it. Apparently that's not a manly thing to do.
It's not a manly thing at all.
But it does taste better. We both took a sip at the same time there, by the way, so if there's a pause, I'm not editing that out. But team news, I think there's obviously a few changes. One, Enzo back in. I think we know that he had a hamstring injury against Palace. He's back in. But the main one's Diarra. No information on that at the minute. We probably have it by the time we release it, but bit of a blow, that one.
I saw something on the X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, last night to say that there was that he needed a scan. He was out today, and I thought it was just bollocks, but clearly it's not. So, well, time will tell. Chris Riggs, obviously a more than able deputy, so we'll see how he gets on. I think he'll be all right.
I've seen a few people saying Riggy in ahead of Dan Neil and all this kind of stuff. What's that mean for Dan Neil? But I think Riggs is a direct, obvious replacement, isn't it?
It's a definite. Chris Rigg would be the obvious one for Xhaka, but I think Dan Neil will be the obvious one for Xhaka, but Chris Riggs a bit more progressive and he moves the ball a bit quicker than Dan Neil would. So yeah.
He also fits into that, the way that we look. I'm not the most tactically astute man on the planet, but I know that we change formations based on offensive or being offensive or defensive, and I think Riggy drops into that sort of 4-4-2 that we do quite well when we're defending because he pushes high up. I'm actually, I'd rather Diarra be fit. I've been quite impressed by Diarra kind of quietly. I know he's the most expensive signing we've had, and therefore you maybe expect the most, but I think we brought in some really good value. So I think, but what I have seen of him, he's pressing, he seems a great lad around the dressing room, that kind of stuff. So hopefully it's a 1 week thing, a bit like Enzo was last week. But there's part of me that's excited to see Chris Rigg in a full 90 because it's a big opportunity for him, and he's stepped up every time we've asked him to, pretty much.
Yeah, Chris Riggs, he's one of those that he was the next one off the production line, if you like. You'd hope that he would be that he would get the kind of, not this kind of game, because Villa were a refereeing decision away from being a Champions League team this season, if we're honest. But you'd think that he'd be a man that he would step up, but Diarra's obviously had a certain role, but I think Chris Riggs more than capable. He's obviously well invested in the team, so.
Do you know what worries me about recording these beforehand though? I've done a few live ones and it's always been Wembley, which has always been fucking great.
Yeah.
We could sound like right dickheads if he had the stinker, but at the moment, time of speaking, we're confident he can step up. But tell you what surprised me, and it's not a bad thing against Wilson in any way, shape, size or form, surprised that either Broby or Mayenda didn't come back in, because I think Wilson's not good at Wilson doesn't listen, let's be honest, but to say that he
Wilson
did.
Starting?
Yeah, Wilson's starting. Aye. He doesn't listen, let's be honest. But if he did, he might find that he doesn't like what I'm about to say. I think he's better coming off the bench. I prefer Wilson off the bench. I think I prefer Mayenda, or I don't know about Broby, but
I think no one knows about Broby, but Mayenda I think has had so much. He's been around the team so much that he knows how they play.
Aye.
But I think Wilson, we have had a conversation about this in the past, that he doesn't really offer a great deal unless it's playing to his strengths, which a lot of that kind of kind of happens.
That header against Brentford was his first header that he scored for us. Everything else has been.
Well, I know. He's but he can go missing. It's harsh because he's brilliantly. Obviously, he's our top scorer last season. But there's games where, if he wasn't playing, then you wouldn't even. Like,
what if he scored a hat-trick now? Do we just
if he scores a hat-trick, then fuck me. I don't give a shit. Like fuck you, Ian. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. Like, if he scores a hat-trick, I'll take it. But
is it potentially that it's too soon for Broby? Because I don't know how much of a pre-season he had, but I know he sort of not fell out of favour at Ajax, but he became. That one's yours. This one is my. To the people listening to this in audio, we're talking about the Guinness and which one has the blackcurrant and which one doesn't. I think the big thing for me though as well, and we'll talk about like signings we brought in and signings we made. The big thing for me is when you look at the bench, there's options on there if these options on the pitch don't work.
This is it. Like last season we didn't have, and season past we didn't have that many options. Like 2 or 3 years ago, if Joe Gelhardt got injured, we'd have literally fucking nobody to go to. So apologies for my language, I've had a few drinks.
I think everyone just heard the guy in the phone scene was in the barn grill bit, and now he's no longer in the barn grill bit, so that guy who's meant to be finding to me very confused.
So I think this year it's a strange position to be in as a Sunderland fan, because I've never been this used to us having this many options. We've been generally okay.
Are you trying to say the options of like George Dobson or Josh Cowan was not a viable?
George Dobson was not an option. As a Dobson myself, I'd never thought I'd be in the position where I would say Dobson is not the way to go. But here we are. Like,
he wasn't, was he?
No, he never was. Apart from against Burnley away when he scored, and I was there, so that was good. But the thing is, Lebris, the way he was last season, the way he has been this season, he's got it in him to change it. Like Swansea away last season, Borough away last season, Sheffield United in the playoff final, he's got it about him where he can do things to change how the game's going to go and change the momentum. So, you know, I'm doesn't matter what team he puts out today, I'm quite happy with the fact that I know that he'll probably do alright, you know.
Confident?
I'd take a 1-0 or a 2-1. I think a win by a goal will do me.
Would you take a draw?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
me too. I feel like
they were a bad realistically, and this might come back to bite us, but this is a team that were a bad refereeing decision away from a Champions League team. Do you know what I mean?
I think the fact that they've had a bad start of the season, and then you look at the, like, for me, Palace was a real test, but I think this is the first time I look at a team sheet and go, oh Jesus, Watkins, McGinn, like, I think Tielemans is injured, I could be wrong, I'll have to check on that. I know he got knocked during the week, but I think when you're looking at the point we got last week against Palace was massive, because we've won our first 2 home games. I think there's naturally going to be a bit of pressure on every game we play because we want to stay in the league, and obviously Leeds and Burnley don't look like they're complete shit. So it's not like, I mean, Wolves don't look great, but you're kind of banking on.
Yesterday, 3-1. Like, for a team that I thought wouldn't score goals, they
all in the first half as well. Or it's actually just because Wolves are really shit. I think they might be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the goalkeeper stood on the side of the free kick, and it went straight past his head. So I don't know.
Kick that though, to be fair.
Shit,
but I feel like the draw we got at Palace last week takes the pressure off needing to win this game.
Yes.
I think if we can pick up the random points when you maybe don't expect it. I didn't expect the point last week against Palace. You could feasibly say we can take a point today and not cry about it too much. Especially with the games coming up, we've got the easy Man United away. That's obviously a basic 3 points. We can bank on 3 points away from home there. And then you've got Wolves at home next home game as well, and based on what we've just said, they don't look great. I think the pressure's off a little bit today because of the point we got last week and the fact we won the first 2 home games. But that said, I'd love a win. Everyone else in the podcast group chat said a win. I'm going to go 0-0.
Yeah, you are. But before the season started, when we did the predictions for the season, the question got put in the group chat but never got asked in the pod. How many points would you like after the first 5 games? I had 7. We've got 7 now. Yeah. So for me, nothing's a disaster today, but a draw or a win would be
massive.
Huge.
What would be bigger, a win or a draw for us, or John McGinn's arse? McGinn's arse.
Either John McGinn's arse. My father-in-law's a Villa fan, so. And I've spent most of the morning with him.
Huge backside.
Yeah.
and I can guarantee he doesn't listen to the podcast, so he won't feel self-conscious about that. And I'm sure he knows that he has a big one. But I'll go 0-0. But look, let's fingers crossed that's going to be something. But you're going to be back with Ross at half-time.
Yes.
When you'll either be really sad. I've always said this, and we've always won when we've done these live shows. So there's always one time when it's going to kick us in the arse. So if you're listening to this, which you will be after the result.
Yeah.
Oh, and that. Well.
Yeah.
Well, we'll end it there, shall we?
That's the perils of recording the first part of a podcast next to a fucking bar. So.
After the walkie-talkie earlier on as well. Right, we'll leave you with that. Thanks very much.
So we're at half time here. It's me, Ross. I'm with Ian. Ian, let's be honest, it was all good until a moment of absolute madness.
Yeah, we looked pretty sweet, to be fair, until that. I didn't see it, but the lads next to us said it's a red card, just a bit of moment of madness. And I mean, you take a point at this point at where it is now, so we'll have to just sort of try and get through it, won't we? So.
Yeah, I think that's a frustrating thing for me as well, because I felt like up until that point we were well in the game. We'd limited Villa to not much at all. We'd started to see a few of our triangles and passing movement coming through, and at that moment you just lose all momentum. It's tough enough in the Premier League 11v11, never mind when you have to take one off. And I felt a bit sorry for Rig. You know, he gets his first start in the Premier League. He was growing into the game, I felt, and then unfortunately you've got to make a tactical one. But yeah, it's just petulance, isn't it? And you'd think what's more frustrating for me is he's been brought in to be the experienced fella here, and that's just a total
definitely
immaturity.
He's one of the more experienced. He's played in European competitions, international competitions, not necessarily as high a level as other players that might be on the pitch, but and obviously the repercussions of what's happened you can't really sort of look too far into, but he's sort of taken away the first start of like Chris Rigg's Premier League career, and I think Chris Rigg was doing all right. He does things pretty tidily, and it's just petulant, and I mean it changed the landscape of everything, really has.
And I feel like it was brave by Lebris because he waited, and then he was like, right, I'm going to go to a 5. I think we'll probably continue with that. Interesting to see Tolby being the left wing back as such. He's done alright thus far. Hopefully this doesn't bite us on the arse. If you're listening full time and he's being rinsed, I am so sorry. Sorry. I take all responsibility.
From obviously where we are, it looked like Lefay just seems to be there, but not in a particular position. But if he's the left wing back,
yeah, it's one of them where I think we're just going to have to try and preserve what we have now. Frustrate Villa, frustrate them to the much where we've got to be smart, be a bit streetwise, try and wind them up. If you can get any opportunity to level it up, then do it. You know what I mean? But I think Villa will just be thinking in that dressing room now. They know they're going to dominate the ball. They know they've got the numerical advantage, and the worrying thing for me is the Villa bench looks like it's got game changers who would love just keeping the ball in that midfield, and we're going to have to
finishers on ours. We've got finishers, and that's all we've got to go with. We've got people who can come on and change the game. Adingra's one of them, and the other players that I can't remember the names of.
Broby, Traore, Mayenda. We have got a lot of attacking outlets.
Traore's not a former Villa player, so if it was going the other way, he'd be nailed on to score a goal. So we'll have to just keep the faith. That's all we need to do.
Yeah, it's just like you say, it's just a bit deflating and frustrating given how I felt we competed really well once again in the Premier League, 11v11 against a solid side full of internationals, and then it just shows though VAR. You get away with nothing. It's honestly, you're in Big Brother when you play in the Premier League. There's cameras everywhere, and for it to be Ronaldo, one of the most experienced guys on the pitch, it just feels a bit of a sore one, and it's annoying.
Just stupidity.
And it's a 3-game ban now, so he misses Forest, Man United, and Wolves, which are 3 big games all in their own right. They're all big games, but that's a left back down straight away. But yeah, so I think we've chewed the lugs off that for a few minutes, and hopefully at full time when we're meeting up we're a bit more positive, but it's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is going to be tough, but the one thing that we know from Lebris in the last year that he's been here and the first couple of games is that we can be resolute and we can stand strong in this. Like, Dan Ballard's come on, he was the hero of the playoff campaign. Let's get to 80 minutes and see if we're still in the same position we are now. Then it's looking, I'd like to say it's looking alright, but I'd take a point at the start of the day anyway. If Ballard's still there and we're still fighting off, then
got to use set pieces, haven't we? Got to use set pieces massively. Use set pieces, quick counters, and just be simple on the ball. Keep things simple, and you never know. Let's hope for the best. How are the lads?
Full time, the live pod unbeaten run continues, although it's obviously not a win. It feels a bit like one, and I'm just with Ian. Massively deserved. I think you take the point, and I said before the game I would have took a point. With the way things went, you'd still take a point, but that was a point that was thoroughly deserved, wasn't it?
It was a point that was earned as well, I think, because obviously, I mean, the first half was pretty there or thereabouts. No one could say who was there, who was the better team, but after the red card, if someone had said you'll get a point coming from behind, you can't really complain too much, and I think we were well deserved of it. So yeah,
I feel like every week we say who would you pick out as your best performer, and look, there was sometimes you had weeks we've got we're called back, man. Somehow there was weeks when you were like, right, who was your best player, and you can pick out your worst ones. It was only a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we could do the worst ones. Today I felt there was loads of people we could pick out. I'm going to let you pick out anyone you want, but because I can comfortably pick out someone else. Like who stood out for you most?
I think Siddiqui didn't stop. It's not to say that he was our best player. It's just that when he went off, he was just on his arse, and like you don't really need. When you come to the Premier League, you need people who are just going to leave everything out there, and I think that's exactly what he did. Xhaka was superb again. Every time he lost the ball or he didn't have the ball, you could see him just sort of giving direction on where people need it to be. I just think everything from when we went down to 10 men, I think there was nothing that we could really complain about. I mean,
can we discuss Xhaka's header, by the way?
It was a cushioned header, yeah. And I think a mention needs to go out for Trey Hume's challenge on Morgan Rogers when he got absolutely fucking nowhere near the ball and just lifted him about 3 or 4 feet off the ground. It was like
I've waited a few weeks for that.
It was a red card, is what it was. But I'll take it because he got nowhere near it. But he did what needed to be done, and
I thought he won the ball. I haven't seen it back, to be fair.
I was at the opposite end. He got absolutely nowhere near the ball, but what's important is the friends you make along the way.
Yes.
And I think he didn't make any friends in the Aston Villa team, but every Sunderland player behind him was 100% behind him, so I'll take that one.
There's not many negatives, but let's just cover them really quick. I haven't seen the goals back. We're recording obviously straight after the game. Yeah. I thought Roofs messed up on the goal.
I was sort of side onto it, so I don't know. It might. I was thinking that it might just be that it's moved a lot in the air when it's coming through. I know David
was in his eyes.
In the group, I know David in the group chat saying that he's just flapped at it, but.
I don't think, by the way, that Matty Cash should have been in the stadium on the pitch. I was told it was a cashless stadium.
Yes,
I've saved that for a few minutes.
Matty Cash can fuck off.
By the way,
but my father-in-law is a Villa fan who I'm here with today, and at half-time he texted me and said, "This is Sunday League level stuff from Aston Villa."
They were so pedestrian. Don't get me wrong.
There was nothing. They didn't do anything that would concern us. They've got.
We actually had the best chance up until until they scored with the Alderweireld header hitting the underside of the bar.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
painful how close that was. By the way,
I'd just come up from half time after recording the half time pod, but Ollie Watkins is one of the absolutely nowhere near being sober. But Ollie Watkins is one of the better strikers in this league, and I just think that there was never a point in the game where I was thinking he's going to cause us problems. We just seem to have him. not pocketed because he was there and there about and he was moving around, but like Villa have got nothing. It's not concerning for me because I'm not a Villa fan, but if I was a Villa fan after them being a referee decision away from being in the Champions League, it's just so average.
I was watching it, and obviously I did the preview show with the lad, and he said, I'm sick of watching football where it's like, I can't remember if it was on air or off air because I don't listen back to the preview shows outside of editing it. But he was saying like, the ball was going to the right back, to the centre back to Martinez, and he's like, I'm sick of watching it. And there was points when I was like, people were saying I push up high, and I was like, at points you can just sit back with this. But the most interesting thing was Ronaldo gets sent off. Look, we'll get on to that because it is a negative. But he gets sent off and you go, this is going to be 60, 70 minutes backs against the wall. There was points when I was like, they had the better chances and we actually looked dangerous here. It's kind of almost like they looked like they didn't know how to get in behind us. We dropped a little bit deeper and the ideas got worse and worse. But that was because I think we were so resolute. The goal is a mistake and it is what it is. But outside of that, did they have that many chances?
It was really satisfying to watch because although we were down to 10 men, we changed the formation so quickly, and it was just Tolby, who's a right winger, left wing back, and I don't know who was right wing back. Trey, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was Trey.
At one point in the second half, I sort of took stock and I kind of looked along the line, and I'm doing a motion with my arm here for those who are just on. Obviously, it's an audio pod, but I was thinking, a couple of seasons ago when it came down to if it was a Tony Mowbray team, we wouldn't have changed formation. Like it was really satisfying to watch, just kind of look how things were going and change accordingly.
So
and it was
smart.
just so smart. Like especially in the league we're in.
Look, we'll get into the Ronaldo thing in a minute. 'Cause I think there's not much to talk about with that, to be honest. But I felt so sorry for Riggy having to be sacrificed. It's the right one to make. You take off your attacking midfielder because you've gone down to 10, you want to change the bat and you change the formation, but I thought Riggy had a brilliant first 35 minutes.
I touched on it with Ross at half time, is that it was really harsh for him, and you could see by the way he came off and he was gutted because he hadn't done anything wrong.
No.
And he was just a victim of circumstance more than anything else. Like he was bright and he was bubbly and he was running around. I say running around, not really. It's not.
He looked confident.
He looked confident and he looked like he belonged. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas there's people who looked massively out of depth. Dan Neil, he came on for 10 minutes, if that. But Dan Neil he wasn't rushing towards the ball. He was just holding his position, and it was so satisfying to watch. Like these young lads who've come through the academy, who you kind of think, they're just going to go fucking mad and just run around a lot.
Also, like that, with Dan Neil, I want to talk about that. A lot of people went, Dan Neil's coming on. I was like, yeah, and I was like, that's his Premier League debut, and I think it'll probably get glossed over a little bit, but that's such a proud moment, not just for Dan, because obviously he'll know it's a proud moment, his family will, but for us as well. Like, he's came from Papa John's trophy against Crewe and all that, whoever it was, and
he's coming from playing left back against
Wigan.
Portsmouth and Wigan in the league to coming on to see a game out, and that's so important. Do you know what I mean? It's so important for a lad who's a lad from Sunderland. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's
nice for him, and it's a really proud moment, like, because I know he might not be the first name on the team sheet and he's probably been a bit frustrated, but ultimately he was the captain last year, and he's been great for us, and it's great to see him take the full trajectory up. But I think on Riggy, just to go back to that, Riggy will be frustrated he's gone off, but Chris Rigg can look back at that performance today and be like, tell me I'm not a Premier League player, because I am. I thought he was excellent. But I think this is a short conversation with the Ronaldo one. I think Ronaldo's been one of our better players this season. Silly, we talked about the other week on the penalty, giving the penalty away, that was unnecessary. Look, it's soft as shite, and Matty Cash has made it alright. He's made a right meal of it, but
he's been given the option to make a meal of it. That's the problem, and you're not going to get away with it in this league.
His mates have dug him out. His mates have dug him out there.
It's
frustrating that he's
frustrating that he's done it, and he's one of the lads who you'd expect to just have a little bit of common sense on his side, but we've got away with it, and that's, you can kind of just sort of forgive him for that. I don't know if it's a 3-match ban off the back of that. I think it is.
Will be, yeah.
But we've got massive step forward, King Arthur, who will no doubt do something ridiculous. He doesn't know how he's done it. but you know,
he did alright, Masuaku, when he came on actually. Like,
and I think it suits him as well the way because he came on and knew he was a wing back, and I think Mayenda was great as well. You could see he was just trying to put himself about, and that's all you need in that situation. You need someone just to occupy people, and that's what he did. So,
final word, by the way, people will know this by this point. We discussed Wilson Isidor, and you were like, "Oh, I'm not sure." 3 home games, 3 goals.
I've not been sure of Wilson all season, and every single time he's. Yeah, I mean, I was incandescent with any kind of positive emotion at the point that it went in, and about 10 minutes afterwards, I asked the lad next to me, who I don't know because I was sat by myself, I was like, who scored? And he went, Wilson. I went, that's what I thought. He went, yeah. So at the time it happened, he went, it might be offside, and then nothing really happened on the pitch, and I was like, well, you know, you will take it. But look, I'm happy again, and I've said this before, I'm happy to be proven wrong on things like 100%. This, and I think Wilson never makes Wilson has had games where he doesn't make a contribution, but when he does make a contribution, it's a really impactful one. Like today, he's got us a point, and Villa are a team who, like I say, were a refereeing decision away from being a Champions League team this season.
I think a lot of the chat, especially on Sky Sports, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong, but I think a lot of the chat will be, should Villa be worried, this, that and the other. And we've talked about why Villa should be, but I felt today was like, Sunderland got a draw because Sunderland wanted the draw and deserved a draw.
Yeah,
we shot ourselves in the foot, or one player shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. But the thing I loved about today, look, and I really want to end on this, like I absolutely loved anyone who sits in the southwest corner, which is where I sit. Xhaka coming over to take a corner, and he had the fucking biggest grin I've ever seen on my face because he knew it, and like Nori, like with his hand. And I know sometimes it's a bit is conceived the word? I don't know if it's the right word, but sometimes it looks a little bit put on. But the players were genuinely in it today, and I actually, you know what, I haven't even mentioned Nori Mukwele. Jesus Christ, he's fucking brilliant. Him and Alderete are like, we could if it wasn't cold and windy and we didn't want to go home and actually drink some beers or see our family, we could talk about every one player for 10 minutes here. But I think ultimately, in just a massive point and another point towards safety.
One of the positive things is we didn't have to change any personnel to get. I know Ballard came on, but everyone kind of shifted and knew where they were supposed to be, and Enzo just sort of fell into that role where he was just sort of, no one knew where he was supposed to be, and neither did they, which helped us a little bit. And you know, it's a point today at 1 o'clock would have been more than welcome. Down to 10 men at a 2:45, you can't really sniff at it.
And like they're bringing on Harvey Elliott and Sancho and Cubes that are up to both. Look, ultimately, massive point. Enjoy your night. As I said already in the pod, we've got work club back, man. But another massive point, another great day at the same light, and get in.
Fuck the mags.
Yeah, fuck the mags.